Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, we're looking around. This is the 77 WABC minicast.
When did this country become so freaked out by snow? Snow. I grew up, snowstorms were a given. You'd have 2 or 3 every winter. You'd automatically, it was unheard of to have a winter where you didn't have any snow days. I'm looking at the people, there's a run at the supermarket. Supermarkets have been cleaned out of everything. That's a little bit much, isn't it? That's a little bit hysterical. It's not like we're, on the verge of nuclear war or something like that. Why would they do that? What's the worst thing that can happen? Let's say if 2 feet of snow comes here. We got plows. We got shovels. It's not going to be that big a deal. I don't know. Are we losing it? Are we losing our grit? A lot of people are. A lot of people have. Yeah, a lot of people just soft. We become a very soft country, right? Oh, and don't get me started about the 20-somethings. Yikes. They're a very different kind of breed of human being. It's true, those participation trophies. I couldn't believe it the first time I went to a soccer game as like I saw a soccer game of one of my peers, somebody my age. This is years ago because I wasn't married until in my 40s, but I was in my 30s and we went to a soccer game that their kid was in and they had no goalie. I was like, wait, why is there no goalie? He said, well, it puts too much pressure on the goalie and, they want everybody to just enjoy the game. I mean, losing is part of winning, right? You gotta lose to know how good it is to win. You can't, I'm like, there's something really strange afoot here. I'm not saying when I was growing up, I didn't exactly, I wasn't working at the iron mill or anything like that, but still, we had victory and defeat and discipline and detention and, the top of the class and, the bottom of the class and all those things, I think it molds you. They redesigned society over the past 20 years after, how long have we been here as human beings? Something like 50,000 years. 50,000 years. It's interesting. We actually haven't been around that long. 50,000 years. You know how old the Earth is? It's like 4 or 5 billion years old. 4 or 5 billion years old. Human beings showed up about 50 to 100,000 years ago. That's nothing. Like, imagine somebody who makes $100,000 compared to somebody who makes $4 billion, right? You can put it this way. I hate it's crude, but the toilet paper, right? If you unfurl the toilet paper, how long would that toilet paper go? How long do you think it would go? Roughly. Just take a guess. 4 miles, a mile, half a mile, quarter mile, 1,000 feet. Let's say it would go 1,000 feet. And, so where does human being, if 1,000 feet equals 4 billion years, when do human beings show up on that toilet paper roll? The very one little slice of that toilet paper, divide it by 100, and that's when human beings show up. One little sliver of one little piece of toilet paper. That's all human beings are. At the same time, we're a very, very, very big deal in the universe. Because if God came down and said, presto changeo, everybody who ever lived is alive right now. Everybody from the first caveman to a baby born 8 seconds ago, snap, they're all alive. And then the earth is like totally crowded. 800 billion people are suddenly walking around. He said, okay, it's too crowded here. We want to spread everybody out evenly throughout the universe, right? So everybody has equal space. Every individual has equal space in the observable universe. Each person who ever lived would have to themselves 1 to 2, somewhere in there, could be, let's say 1.5 trillion galaxies to themselves. 1.5 trillion galaxies to themselves. Isn't that incredible? Doesn't that blow your mind? right? We are a big deal. No, we're a big deal. We're very insignificant, but we're a very, very big deal at the same time. Hey, thank God that Davos thing is over. Gosh, I don't know. There's something very strange about it. I just don't like those guys getting together and making all these decisions. But there's one guy who emerged as a bright light. I must say, I didn't like him for a while. He was a DeSantis guy, and I got into a couple of Twitter wars with him. Somebody pointed out, that guy's a billionaire. You may not want to mess with him. Yeah, I'm like, he is. We're insulting each other on Twitter. But that was actually kind of fun. I was flattered. His name is Ken Griffin. He started a company called Citadel. Now, one thing about Ken Griffin, when I think Ken Griffin, I think, wasn't there a guy on the Mets named Ken Griffin, right? I don't think this guy. He's a very bland-looking guy. And, Ken Griffin is kind of there are like 15 famous people with that name. He's one of them. He doesn't stand out. So what he does is he buys outlandishly big properties, right? He bought like a Coliseum, an actual Coliseum, and converted it into a house, right? Where he lives. And he just buys like crazy. It's like, wow, Ken Griffin. Anyway, he's obviously a very smart guy, and he employs a lot of people. So he's got that going for him. He spoke so powerfully about the night and day difference from Joe Biden to Donald Trump. And it was apparent on election day, the very moment Trump gets elected. Are we ready? This is Ken Griffin talking to some moderator over there, Christine somebody. And it's really a beautiful thing. And remember, this guy isn't the biggest Trump fan in the world. All right. Hit it, if you don't mind.
You cannot imagine how painful it was each and every day under the Biden administration to look at what new crazy proposal was being put into place to solve a problem that didn't even exist. I mean, our constant friction at Citadel with the government across umpteen different aspects of our business was exhausting. And to have that literally end on one day, election day, just gives you so much energy as an entrepreneur to go back and build your damn business. So the biggest sea change I've seen across American executives has been just like the giant sigh of relief. I can now go and focus on building my business. And that prior administration, we happen to be a creditor of Spirit. Their merger with JetBlue was stopped. Spirit's in bankruptcy today. There were so many decisions that were so poorly thought out in terms of economic consequences. It cost the U.S. economy dearly. I cannot emphasize that enough. And so the Trump administration is making slow progress on deregulation thus far, but the end of the regulatory onslaught has been just an extraordinary boom for American business.
And I love it. I love it. And look, what do I know? I'm not an airline mogul, and Spirit Airlines, the only thing I ever thought about with Spirit isn't that where all those funny fight videos come from? Right? It's the budget airline. Well, I like America a little bit more with an airline in it. And then it went bankrupt because the Biden administration had some hang up about it. Good for business. Trump is good for business, great for business. And if a guy like Ken Griffin is happy, his 100,000 employees are happy. So the ICE raids continue. I think it's a beautiful thing, actually. Even though sometimes it's not beautiful, it's not pretty to watch somebody who doesn't want to be arrested get arrested. But I'm not going to be manipulated, all right? I know that law enforcement, force! The word force, right, is part of law enforcement. Sometimes you got to use force. Now, I can't understand it with the children here. Remember kids in cages? And everybody was crying about that. Remember separation of parents, separation of families? That was the worst thing in the world. Well, now they arrest the guy and they decide, let's keep the kid with the father. And now they don't like that. This is up in Minneapolis. There's a 5-year-old kid, and I'm told that this is the iconic picture of the moment. This 5-year-old sad kid. Well, number one, he doesn't look sad. He looks like he's 5 years old. He's just standing there. What's the context? I have no idea. They tried this crap during back to Mexico. Remember when they all went down there and took those fake pictures crying at the gate? And they took a picture of a girl crying, a little girl crying. Like, what? Girls cry. Little boys get bored. What the hell is the big deal? Again, they're trying to play people, and a lot of people don't have what we have. And what do we have? Street smarts, baby. You show me a picture of a kid. My heart's not gonna break. What's the context? What's really happening? The kid looks like any 5-year-old kid I've ever seen. Cute, but, so what? Hit it if you don't mind. All right, what you have here is a little kid standing in the middle and a bunch of adults yelling and screaming about it. Don't honk your horn. Please don't honk your horn. There should be a law against that.
Where's your humanity? That's a kid.
And?
That is a child.
Yes. They're not putting the kid in handcuffs. So, stop for a second. What really happened here is the father's here illegally. The kid isn't. So ICE shows up. The father runs away. The father abandons his 5-year-old child. Just runs away. Saves his own skin. What the hell's that all about? And ICE is getting blamed for it all. Very easy. Fanone was brave when he was in a situation he knew the cops would save him from. What happens when you remove him from a safe space? Let's revisit the last time me and Ivan Raiklan confronted him. Couldn't get into the elevators fast enough. Softer than a baby. Ivan handled it perfectly today. I would have been in cuffs for an open hand slap. Yikes. That's my friend Enrique Tarrio. These guys, they persecuted a whole range of a whole class of people, the January Sixers. And the truth is wonderful to behold, isn't it? Hey, one other thing, the superstar who is obviously going to be president someday, his name is Brandon Gill, Republican of Texas. I didn't realize this, but his father-in-law is Dinesh D'Souza. He married Dinesh D'Souza's daughter. Brandon Gill is very, very bright, and you can see that right here. They had no case against President Trump, so they went snooping around in weird areas. They started subpoenaing the records of telephone calls made by members of Congress. That's how desperate they were. And when you do that, you're supposed to tell the member of Congress that your records have been subpoenaed. They didn't do it. They manipulated the system. And this is when Brandon Gill on the House Judiciary, lays into Jack Smith about this whole thing, and it's awesome. Cut 11, if you don't mind. Cut 11.
Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The non-content toll record subpoenas, we did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated.
You think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
The question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records. But I've got more, so let's move on.
We didn't have to. We just totally annihilated them right there. And we had the email. Flight from prosecution was a risk. If Speaker McCarthy found out that he was having his toll records when he picked up the phone, to whom he was calling. If he knew that, he would run away. He'd get on a plane and run away. It said it in black and white. What the hell kind of witch hunt was that, after all? And he can't explain it. But now that it's being explained, now that the evidence is coming out, the establishment, the culture has moved on, the woke, weird, broken culture. But the truth is out. These people need to be shamed and, where they can, arrested. This was such a waste of time and money, and they really put people through hell. You know, when the government comes at you and you're a conservative, you know, I love conservatives, but guess what? We don't help each other out. When you're targeted, nobody's going to help you with your lawyer fees. No one's going to, you know, where it's kind of like Goodfellas, right? When you get arrested, remember he said, you know, no one's taking care of us. We're on our own. Karen, I told you that. You know, we just got each other here. I'm in prison. What do you want? Tony told me I should bring my children down to the police and get welfare. I know, this is the way it works. We're on our own. Other, you know, the Dems hooked each other up. That's something we may want to, right? We may want to do some of that for ourselves. You go through that, you're on your own, and that's terrible. All these fake impeachment witnesses against Trump. Guess what they had immediately? Pro bono lawyers from some of the biggest law firms in the world at their beck and call. Conservatives were on their own, and they got $500,000 legal bills that they'll never be able to repay. It's a disgrace, actually. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Be right back.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.